Hi everyone. I haven't thought about how I'm going to tell this story. I haven't told this story to you guys. I haven't even let you guys know basically any of this information. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a story time today. This is my van, by the way. She's out there. Her name's Cypress. That's the name of the new vehicle. And you might say, well, what happened to the old vehicle? What happened to the SUV that you converted? And we're going to get to that. It's just going to take a moment. I got my hot drink, and let's start this story. So, I was living in Florida out of my SUV. I absolutely loved it. It was a wonderful experience. I miss it now. I miss being able to wake up and watch the sun rise over the ocean on the beach. My heart longs for that. I miss those memories a lot, actually. But I ended up coming home from Florida to visit my family for the winter. And after I came home to visit my family for the winter, I decided, because of many different reasons, that I wanted to stay home. And I wanted to get my vehicle from Florida, and I wanted to come back to Vermont, and I wanted to stay home. There was a lot changing in my life. And I loved the people that I was traveling with. They provided me with food. They provided me with a space to sleep. They provided me with opportunity. They just gave. And that was ridiculous and extremely humbling, and a very good example of how I want to be towards others. Like, these people just gave me so much. Like, they were so generous. I don't even know how to put it into words. And they weren't even my family. Like, they obviously were. Like, these people, yeah, a very generous couple, who will always have a place in my heart. I will always love them. Yeah, I don't even know. It baffles me, because I know that not everybody's like them. Because not everybody shelters this 17-year-old who wants to travel the world and sees her passion and says, we're going to help you do that. And we're going to ask nothing in return for you to do that. And they did. They allowed me to come in and out of their RV, which was their home, whenever I wanted. They allowed me to eat any of their food whenever I wanted. They made me, Maura, love this woman, Maura made me breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, and never asked for anything. It was wonderful. They took me places. They showed me things that I'd never seen before. And once again, they never asked for anything from me. They just gave. And they gave me, most importantly, memories with them that I get to cherish and look back on. All the fun times that we had. We had a lot of fun times, sitting around a fire, building a fire. We laughed so much. And we had so many plans for the future. Wow, I'm cracking up here. I didn't think I was going to cry. What? Let me gather myself. It's too early in the video for me to be crying. But anyways, these people were magnificent. And I'm grateful for everything that they did for me. But I decided that I wanted to stay home from Florida. And this changed a lot in my life. I realized that I needed to do something different. I needed to be able to self-sustain and to function without support, because eventually this was going to end, and I was going to need something to provide for myself, so that way I can live this lifestyle and continue the way that I wanted to do it. Because living with people on the road also hindered me from doing the things that I wanted to do. I personally, the reason that I want to travel is because I want to go to all of these natural, remote locations, and I couldn't do that with the situation that I was in with Keith and Maura, because Keith was doing this big project that I was so grateful to be a part of, where he was filming a movie. And because he was filming a movie, I told him that he could use my vehicle to get to and fro from work. And most of the time I went with him because I wanted to be a part of that process. And it gave me an office space to work in and to focus. So that was sort of what our days looked like. We would drive to work and then drive home. And my vehicle was also used for grocery shopping and whatever else, going to places, because they had an RV. It's not convenient to do that in an RV. So my vehicle was used for transport, and I was happy to give that to them because of everything that they provided me with. It was a fair trade. But eventually I started to realize that I didn't get to use my space the way that I had originally thought that I wanted to use my space. Yeah, I didn't really know what I wanted starting to travel, so it was hard for me to be like, these are the things that I'm okay with, and these are the things that I'm not okay with. This is what I want to do, this is what I don't want to do. Because I'd never done anything, so I was like, yeah, let's go. I want to be in Florida, sure. And I did, and I was in Florida, and it was absolutely wonderful. But I also did get to experience a lot, and it gave me a pretty good idea of what living in my vehicle is like, day in and day out. So, how did I feel about living in my vehicle? Let's break that down. I absolutely loved it. Every single moment of it. I loved living out of my SUV. It was small. It was perfect. I absolutely loved every moment of it. I never got to show you what the inside of the SUV looked like, and I am so sorry for that because I loved my space. You guys got to see it a little bit in the past videos of some of the footage that I took in Florida, but I never gave you a full tour. But I had this sort of bench area where I put all of my stuff. It was almost a desk area. It was a workspace as well. I had my toilet in there. I had my and I had a wall on one side that held all of my clothing. And it was basically just this piece of plywood. As you guys saw me build in my video, it was this piece of plywood that I put up and bolted into the wall, and it had holes in it, and I just basically stuffed my clothes into that hole. Slightly organized. It had one shelf, so it was double layered, but it had like 4 holes, I think. And I could fit a lot of clothes in there, and I did fit a lot of clothes in there. But I had that. I had the bench, which was 2 kitchen cabinets, so I had 4 cabinets in total, and that held all of my art supplies and something else. I don't remember what was in the second cabinet. But mostly, one of them was completely filled with just art supplies. I didn't need food. I didn't need water. I had 2 water jugs. I ended up getting rid of them because I didn't need water. I had access to water everywhere I went. It was just taking up space. So then I filled that area with more sort of desk oriented things. And my bed was pieces of foam. I had bought 2-inch foam or 1.5-inch foam, and I'd cut it into 4 pieces and put pillowcases over them. And every single night I arranged my bed. I laid these 4 pieces of foam out, laid on top of it, put a blanket on me. It was perfect. It was slightly uncomfortable, but I loved it because the pieces would move because they didn't fit the full length of the vehicle. There was like this little bit of extra space. So every night that I went to bed, I would have this little space where my arm would sort of fall in, which I actually learned to love because I ended up falling asleep on my face, which I don't usually do. And my arm would like be in the divot and I'd be laying on it, but my arm wouldn't go numb. So it was actually really nice eventually learning to love the little kinks and things like that in the process. So even the things that didn't go right, I learned to love and I learned to use. But that was sort of the setup of my van. I also had storage space under my floor. I had actual flooring and then a bunch of space under my floor where I kept a workout mat. I kept dirty laundry, that was really convenient to have like a dirty laundry bag. I went through clothes, and when I put them in there, I could just like fill a bag full of dirty laundry and then eventually take it out and go do my laundry. But it wasn't like in my space, you know? I don't remember what else I had under there. Towels for showering. I had I think that was about it. I think that's all I had under my floor. I had more. I don't remember what it was, but something else was under there. And that was the setup of my van. Once again, it was slightly crowded. Not my van, oh my word. That was the setup of my SUV. It was slightly crowded, and I couldn't stand. But I absolutely loved being in there. Every time that I was in there, I never felt like I didn't have enough space, and I never felt like I needed more. I felt very content in that van. I loved falling asleep. It's not a van. I'm sorry. I felt very content in that SUV. I loved falling asleep every night. I laid there with so much gratitude for the fact that I was falling asleep in the back of my SUV, which is so weird for some people to hear because that's the opposite of what they'd want to do. I loved it. I really, really loved it. Yeah, it was great. And then I would wake up in the morning, I would open my side door, I'd come out, and I'd go watch the sunrise over the ocean. I'd come back, do a workout, and then go to work. And I'd work all day doing things like web design and graphic design and yeah, living my best life, actually. It was great because I don't like the winter very much because I'm cold and I don't have many hobbies. I don't have many winter hobbies, so it makes it a really boring time of the year for me. And I love being outside, but I don't like being cold, and it's cold during winter. So I like being in warm places for the winter because it allows me with more opportunity to live. But what happened was, going back to the story, I came home for the winter and I decided that I wanted to stay home. I decided that I didn't want to go back down to Florida and live out of my car. I miss my family, and there were some things that were happening in Florida that I no longer wanted to be a part of. So I told Keith and Maura that I was going to stay in Vermont for the rest of the winter, and I was going to end my trip. So a couple weeks passed, and me and my boyfriend flew down to Florida to get my vehicle, and we drove. He drove, let's be honest. I drove like 4 hours. This man drove the rest of the time. We stopped once for him to be able to sleep, and I drove 4 hours. Eventually he woke up and was like, okay, I'm ready to drive. I was like, are you sure? I slept most of the time because this girl needs her sleep. I was very clear about that. I was like, listen, you might be able to do this. I need sleep. I'm going to need to sleep. So he did. He drove pretty much the whole time. And we got back to Vermont in my vehicle, it was great. I loved that ride, actually. We had a really fun time, me and him together during that 21-hour trip. Listened to a lot of music, had a lot of beautiful conversations. It just gave us the time to really spend undivided time with one another and take care of each other and check in on one another. And that was great because I would wake up and I'd be like, are you good? Do you need me to drive? How are you feeling? Do you want to stop and get something to eat? All of these things. Just checking in on each other and making sure that, we were doing okay. And we were most of the time. There were a couple of moments where we'd slightly go, tired, slightly go off the road, and it would wake me up, but I did the same thing. I probably did it more than he did. But yeah, it was a beautiful ride, surprisingly, which I wouldn't have normally thought that because it's a long ride, but I really enjoyed it with him. So I made it home and I started living my life in Vermont in the winter. I ended up making this space and painting these walls for myself to have a little bit more of like a studio space, I think, because I wanted to pursue my art a little bit more in the time that I was here, to be able to use this time to do what I wanted to do, which is art. It's always been art. And travel. I love traveling. Somehow I need to combine the two. But anyways, I made this space for myself, and one day, I don't know where I was driving to, but I took my SUV to go somewhere. And on my way back, it started to snow, and it started to get really cold, and the roads became icy very quickly. So I was driving on my road to get to my house, and I took a slight corner. It wasn't even a turn, and my car starts sliding. Uncontrollably just starts sliding. And eventually, I realize that I'm sliding, and I have absolutely no control. I attempted to pump my brakes. It did nothing. And move my steering wheel. It also did nothing. But eventually, I slid off of the road into an embankment, and I hit a tree. And my vehicle had fallen into this bank through these bushes, and the only thing that stopped it was that tree that it hit. So I was sitting in my car, and I was like, oh my word, I just crashed my vehicle. My airbag didn't go off. I don't know if I passed out. I have no idea if I got like a head injury, if I hit the steering wheel and I was out for a couple of seconds, if I was out for a couple of minutes. All I remember is realizing that I had hit a tree and being like, okay, where's my phone? Searching for my phone. My Apple Watch was blaring, alerting people that I had just crashed my vehicle. I did tell my sister, and she was like, no way, because we have a sort of family app where we can see each other and where we are, just to make sure that everyone's safe. And I wasn't in that situation. So my sister got the notification. My Apple Watch called 911. I called 911 again on my phone and told them what happened. I'm slightly panicking, slightly shaky. I just crashed my vehicle, and I see smoke come out the roof of my vehicle. It's nighttime. It's now dark. And that freaked me out. So I open my door, and it's just tree branches. So I kick it as hard as I can, and as fast as I can, I get out of that vehicle. I think I had my phone. I think I just had my phone. I left everything in my vehicle. So I'm talking to the police, and a police officer is coming now to check in on me and see the accident and ask me questions. And I also called my mother, and being in Vermont, people tend to be caring. So everyone who passed by stopped, because I'm a girl on the side of the road, and it's winter and I'm cold. It's, I did not have outside clothes on for that type of weather, so I was cold. And these cars stop. Neighbors had seen me slide off the road and had heard the crash, and they came to see if I was okay. I felt fine. I felt like I had a bruise on my thigh. I didn't think much of it. And eventually my mom's boyfriend came, picked me up. They said, okay, you can go home. So I went home with my mom's boyfriend. And that night, I felt like I had a little bit of a headache. And I thought to myself, maybe I got a concussion. But I did not think much of it, and I should have. I ended up going to bed and waking up, and I felt fine the next day. But that night, me and my boyfriend went to go watch a movie at the movie theater. And so I'm in the movie theater, and this movie starts, and I start like nodding off. I can't pay attention. Everything's blurry, and every 30 seconds, I feel my head go back and go limp. And then I come back up. Same thing. 20 seconds, limp. And I don't know what's going on, but I can't speak. I can't tell Rob what's happening. I can't tell him what's going on. I physically cannot speak words. So he's asking me, but I'm not I'm looking at him and I'm completely unresponsive, even though I'm trying to speak to him and tell him something's not right. I don't know what to do. So we end up standing up, and we end up going out the movie theater. And as we're leaving, my whole body goes limp. And he has to catch me. I'm completely like, I'm non-functional. Nothing is movable. And then I can't speak, and I can't move, but I'm still conscious. But it looks like I'm asleep. So he's holding me up. I come back to, and I know what just happened because it's not like I went to sleep. I start freaking out. I'm crying, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, why is my body doing this? We walk a couple more steps. We get out of the door. Same thing happens. Whole body goes limp. He's just holding me. I'm non-responsive. And now I'm freaking out. I'm crying. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? Again, limp. And it just kept getting worse and worse from there. So I don't remember much. And that's going to be a very common trend that we're going to see take place. So we end up coming out because somebody asks, like, what's going on? And they're like, are you okay? And I can't speak. And Rob's like, no, she's not okay. So I remember they take us around. I keep going limp. Like, every 30 seconds, I'm out. But I'm still conscious. I'm still, like, awake. So these people are asking me questions. I can't respond. I can't speak. I can't move any limb on my body. And then when I do, like, wake up, I guess, I start having these, like, physical reactions. My arm starts to shake. It's almost like twitches. And I end up uncontrollably. The whole right side of my body, uncontrollably, was shaking. So my right leg would shake, and my left arm would go like this. And Rob was here, so I kept, like, hitting him. And then I'd go out again. And then I'd come back to, do it again, out. And it was like every 30 seconds that I would just completely lose function in everything and just, like, go to sleep. So I was put on a stretcher and brought to the emergency room where this continued to happen on the bed. I would just go out, come back, go out, come back. And unfortunately, they thought I was on drugs. And they weren't taking my injuries very seriously at all. I took a drug test. They made me a urine sample, and I didn't test positive for drugs because I don't do drugs, and I wasn't on drugs. So, and I'm also, like, speaking to this doctor. Like, he comes in the room, and I'm speaking to him as best as I can, and as I'm speaking to him, I lose complete function. He's asking me questions. My mom's in the room, obviously. And I'm non-responsive. I can't respond. But then I was so used to it at this point because it had been hours of this happening that when I came back to, I just continued my conversation with him, telling him how I was feeling and what was going on. Unfortunately, it's not a very good hospital. So my injuries weren't taken very seriously. They did scans. They did as many tests as they wanted to, and nothing looked wrong or different. So they were like, yep, she can go home after I got a CAT scan. I ended up going home, and at this point, I don't remember months of my life. And that's really scary. I just don't remember. I remember little increments. Like, after that night, I was in a vegetative state, like, mentally. I couldn't do anything. I was dumb for about a week. I think it was a week. For about a week. We'll say it was a week. And it was like I had a head injury, but I was completely non-functioning. My coordination was off. I couldn't do anything but sleep because I was healing. And when I was awake, it was very slow movements, couldn't speak very well. I was a vegetable. And after that passed, I don't remember much. There were doctor's appointments. I don't remember very well. I ended up getting a job. I don't remember getting a job as a dental assistant. Apparently it didn't last long because I kept having these episodes where I would lose all function in my body, and then it would be like that for an hour or two, and that's not, I guess, a great thing to do at work. Doesn't make for a very reliable employee. So I remember that, not the job. I have pictures on my phone of me in scrubs, and that freaks me out because I don't remember taking the pictures. I don't remember anything that happened in that time period. It's slightly terrifying, but I just don't remember. I don't remember winter, and I also don't remember a little bit before my accident. So I don't remember being here for like Christmas. I don't remember Christmas. I don't remember the snow on the ground. I know that I was here when it happened because I have video footage in my phone of me here with snow on the ground. I don't remember a lot until up to a few months ago. So to me, I remember coming back from Florida, and then I remember a couple months ago. Maybe. So, and that's slightly terrifying because I don't remember months of my life. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember how it happened. I just don't know anything. So it feels like I came back from Florida and I've been here for a couple of months. That's how it feels to me. And it's September, and I came back in December. So, yeah. It's surreal. It doesn't feel real. I don't know. I've never had a massive head injury before that, luckily, and I didn't expect that accident to result in that way. After the first night and day, it seemed like I was okay, and then very quickly I was not okay for a long time. So I think that was a really hard period in my life. I have video footage of me talking to the camera about it, and I didn't look like I was having a good time. I won't go too in depth about that. It looked like I was suffering. And that's really hard to watch because how long was I suffering for? Because I don't remember. But yeah, that is what happened when I came back from Florida. And that's why I no longer have Delta. I crashed Delta, unfortunately. I really like that SUV, and I could have used it to take me many places. But God had a different plan. And now I'm here. I have a beautiful van that I'm now renovating, which honestly was a dream. So that came true. And now I'm just figuring out my life. So yeah, that's the story of me coming back from Florida, why I did it, and what happened after. So that's the crazy story of these past few months. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. It's a different style video, obviously, than what I normally do, but I needed to give you guys some context as I didn't take any video footage during that time that I was recovering from my accident, as that was not on my mind at all. But not that I know it was on my mind. I think it wasn't on my mind. I didn't take any video footage, so I assume it wasn't on my mind. But yeah, I'm better now, and I don't have those episodes of like full body paralysis anymore, which is really good. I feel healed, and I feel like I remember things. So I think that's a good direction to go in, and I'm happy that I'm better. It could have been worse. It was bad, but I could have not made it. I could have died, and I didn't. So that was a time of trial and tribulation for me, but I'm here now at the other end of it, and I'm grateful for where I am. Thank you all for watching this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next adventure.